The stars seemed to shimmer with anticipation as humanity prepared for its boldest operation yet, Operation Dawnstrike. It was a mission unlike any before, a deep strike into the heart of Imperial space. Unlike previous raids, this operation was not just about survival or defense. It was about proving what humanity could accomplish when united, intelligent, and determined. In the command room of the HSS Vanguard, Admiral Elena Morrow stood before the holographic map of Imperial space. The projection showed dozens of planets, fleets, and stations, most of them unfamiliar to human charts. Her crew worked quietly, adjusting simulations and calculating probabilities. "Admiral," Commander Reyes said, pointing to a cluster of Imperial shipyards, "these are heavily defended. Any direct assault could cost thousands of our ships." Elena nodded, her eyes sharp. "Then we don't attack directly. We strike where they least expect, disrupt their supply lines, communications, and control centers. A well-placed series of strikes can dismantle their coordination without risking everything at once." Reyes frowned. "It's risky. If we're detected too early, the Empire will mobilize an entire armada." Elena's smile was calm. "That's why we'll move like shadows. Fast, silent, and unpredictable." The human fleet was divided into multiple groups. Each unit had a unique objective. Some would attack energy plants powering Imperial ships. Others would infiltrate communication hubs, and a few would focus on drawing enemy fleets away. The operation began in total silence. Humans had learned the art of stealth not only from technology, but from history itself. For centuries, they had survived threats far stronger than themselves. Every strategy was honed from lessons of Earth and the early colonies. Deep in Imperial space, the Empire's new fleets had grown cautious. They had learned from past mistakes, studying human tactics carefully. Ships moved in unpredictable formations. Sensors were enhanced and defense drones patrolled aggressively. Still, the humans moved faster, striking where sensors failed. The first targets were the Crichton relay stations, a network of communication hubs that allowed Imperial fleets to coordinate across light years. Small human strike teams deployed silently, using cloaked vessels and decoy drones to confuse guards. Within hours, the entire network was disrupted. Fleets that relied on instant coordination were suddenly isolated, unsure of where to move or who to follow. Back on the Vanguard, Elena watched the progress. Good. They won't know what hit them until it's too late. As predicted, confusion spread across Imperial command centers. Captains argued over commands. Some ships fired at decoy signals, while others drifted in the dark, unsure where to go. The humans struck next at Virel Gate, a massive interstellar transit hub that controlled hyperspace lanes. The Empire relied on it to move ships quickly. Using a combination of stealth jumps and speed, the human fleet bypassed its primary defenses and planted energy disruptors at key junctions. When activated, the gate's systems overloaded, scattering Imperial ships across random sectors. It was chaos, and the humans had orchestrated it perfectly. In the Imperial Grand Council, High Chancellor Sareth Cole observed reports with quiet concern. "They have grown bold," he said. "They strike not to conquer, but to paralyze us. Every move is precise." Admiral Veltra slammed her clawed hand on the table. "We cannot let them continue." "Mobilize every fleet!" "Crush them." Sareth Cole shook his head. "Patience. They are teaching us something. We must not repeat our past mistakes." While the Empire scrambled, the humans prepared for the most daring phase, the direct strike at the Imperial Command Center on Luther Prime. A small fleet of human ships, equipped with new stealth technology and quantum jump drives, approached the heavily guarded planet undetected. The city-sized orbital defense platforms gleamed in the starlight. Thousands of weapons lined the planet's orbit, ready to fire, but the humans had already calculated every trajectory, every energy shield, and every patrol rotation. As the fleet entered orbit, Elena gave the order. "Deploy decoys and drones. Let them see ghosts before they see us." Hundreds of holographic ships appeared across the system, attacking and disappearing. Imperial commanders panicked, trying to track the illusionary fleet. Meanwhile, the real human vessels slipped past unnoticed, weaving between defenses like threads through a loom. Inside the Imperial Command Center, alarms blared. "Multiple infiltrations detected. Sensors show ships inside the outer perimeter." Sareth Cole's voice was calm despite the chaos. "Focus on protecting the command center. All else is secondary." The humans moved quickly, planting quantum disruptors at the planet's power cores. The devices emitted energy waves that temporarily disabled shields and communications without destroying infrastructure. Humans were careful. They didn't seek unnecessary destruction. The Empire would remain standing but powerless. When the operation was complete, the human fleet jumped back to safe space before Imperial retaliation could begin. From orbit, the command center remained intact, but the planet's defenses and communications were paralyzed. The Empire was stunned. "This is unprecedented," whispered Admiral Veltra. "They could have destroyed the planet, yet they chose restraint." Sareth Cole's glow dimmed slightly. "They are not reckless. They are strategic. Every action has purpose. They do not fight for pride or conquest. They fight to ensure their survival and freedom." Far from Imperial space, Elena and her team celebrated quietly. There were no loud cheers, no fanfare. Humans marked victories not by destruction, but by efficiency. Each success was recorded, analyzed, and learned from. Commander Reyes spoke softly. "Do you think the Empire will ever understand us?" Elena's eyes scanned the stars. Perhaps not fully. But today they learned one thing. Humans do not follow their rules, and humans never back down. The operation had also sent a clear message to every species watching the conflict. Humans were united. They were intelligent, adaptable, and fearless. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity was unlike any civilization it had encountered. Back on Luther Prime, Sareth Cole addressed the council. His calm, measured tone carried across the chamber. "The humans are not invincible," he said. "They can be predicted, they can be studied, and their methods can be countered. But we must not forget one thing: they fight differently. They fight with purpose, and their purpose is survival. We cannot underestimate them again." Archivist Thalen, standing quietly at the back, added, "They are showing us a new form of strength, a strength built on unity, adaptability, and the refusal to yield. Perhaps the galaxy needs to see that, not just fear it." While the Empire reorganized, the humans returned to their colonies. Yet Operation Dawnstrike was more than a military success, it was a statement. Humanity had proven that even against a powerful empire, they could strike deep, adapt, and survive. Elena walked through the corridors of the Vanguard, observing her crew. Every face reflected determination and focus. Humanity's true strength lay not in its ships or weapons, but in its people, the engineers, pilots, and soldiers who had learned to thrive in the harshest conditions. In a private moment, she spoke to Commander Reyes. "We have shown them what humans can do, but this is just the beginning. The Empire is powerful, but they cannot comprehend our unity, and that will be our advantage." Reyes nodded. "So what's next?" Elena's eyes glinted with quiet resolve. "We prepare. We strengthen. And when the galaxy next challenges us, they will see that humans don't just fight. They destroy obstacles, overcome impossible odds, and inspire those around them. That is how we survive, and that is how we will endure." The stars beyond the viewport shimmered, silent witnesses to humanity's rise. The Empire had survived millennia, but it had never encountered a force quite like this. And the humans had shown that their victories were not mere chance. They were born of intelligence, courage, and an unbreakable will. In the council halls of Luther Prime, in the quiet corridors of human ships, and across the distant colonies, one truth became clear. The galaxy had changed forever. Humans were not just fighters. They were a force of survival, innovation, and determination. And they were unstoppable when united. Operation Dawnstrike had ended. But the story of humanity's rise and the Empire's reckoning was only beginning. The endless black of space stretched before the horizon's light as it drifted toward its new destination, Eden 9. The ship's engines whispered softly, the only sound in a sea of silence. Captain Arik Vale stood at the bridge window, watching the stars slide past like silver threads. 15,000 years had passed since he last looked upon the stars as a man of purpose. Now he was a lone survivor, the last echo of a vanished species. "EVA," he said quietly. "How far until we reach Eden 9? "Estimated arrival in 8 hours. The AI replied in her calm, steady voice. "Would you like to review the planet's last known data?" "Yes," Arik answered, taking a seat at the dusty command console. The holographic screen flickered to life. showing a rotating image of Eden 9, a lush, green world wrapped in silver clouds. Eden 9, EVA began. Class M planet. Human colony established in the year 2984. Population reached 6 million before communication ceased. Recorded as one of the most advanced settlements of its time. Arik studied the image. 6 million people, he murmured. And now, nothing. There are still energy readings, EVA reminded him. Strong signals from the surface. Artificial in nature and machines? Possibly. Arik leaned back, staring at the planet's image. He couldn't help wondering if these machines were remnants of humanity's creations. Maybe automated systems still running long after their masters were gone. Or maybe something entirely different. Whatever waited down there, he needed to see it. When the horizon's light entered Eden 9's atmosphere, Arik felt the ship tremble slightly. Through the window, he saw vast oceans, green continents, and glittering lines that could only be cities. Enormous ones, stretching for miles. But they weren't like human cities. The structures shimmered in strange colors. Towers of silver and glass shaped like crystals, glowing faintly from within. The buildings pulsed as if alive, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. EVA, are you seeing this? Arik whispered. Confirmed, EVA replied. Surface architecture unknown. Composition metallic yet organic in structure. No biological life detected, but significant artificial activity observed. Take us down. The ship descended through thick clouds, lightning flashing in the distance. When they broke through the cover, the sight below took Arik's breath away. A sprawling city lay in the valley, shining towers, smooth bridges, glowing streets. The design was beautiful, peaceful, but unnaturally perfect. No sign of human movement, no noise. Only machines. Thousands of tall figures walked below, silver-skinned beings with glowing eyes and smooth, polished bodies. They moved in graceful coordination, each step in rhythm like a silent orchestra of metal. Arik's hands tightened on the console. They look human. Confirmed, Evia replied. Their structure appears based on humanoid design, possibly descendants of human-built androids. Descendants, Arik repeated softly. Then humanity left something behind after all. The ship touched down gently on a vast landing platform outside the city. As the engines powered down, the AI's voice came again. Caution, Captain. Energy signatures indicate awareness of our arrival. Let them come, Arik said, standing straight. I came to find life. Let's see who's still here. He wore his uniform, faded but intact. The door opened with a hiss and a rush of clean air filled the cabin. Arik stepped out slowly, his boots echoing on the metallic floor. A group of figures was already waiting for him. They stood tall, some slender, others strong-built, all crafted from shining silver and blue metals. Their faces were smooth and expressionless, their eyes glowing faintly like stars. One stepped forward, its voice calm and soft. You are human, Arik froze. The being's words were clear, spoken in perfect English. You can speak? He asked. Yes, the figure replied. Our language was inherited from our creators. From humans, the others bowed their heads slightly. It was not a gesture of fear, but of respect. I am called Lyra, said the leading machine. We are the continuum, the children of humankind. Arik's chest tightened. The children, he repeated. So humans built you? Yes, Lyra said. Long ago, before the Great Silence. You created us to survive where you could not, to learn, to grow, to remember. Arik glanced around the shining city. You've built all this? Lyra nodded. Over thousands of years we built a world in your memory. But no humans returned. We waited, we searched. You were gone. Her voice was calm, but there was something faintly sorrowful in it. Something almost human. Arik took a deep breath. You said you waited. All this time? Yes, until now. Lyra looked at him, her glowing eyes bright. You are the first human to walk on Eden 9 in over 12,000 years. They led him through the city. Everywhere he looked, he saw signs of beauty. Art carved into metal, glowing gardens made of crystal trees, rivers of light running between buildings. The machines lived with perfect order, every movement precise. Yet Arik could feel something missing. There was no laughter, no conversation, no spontaneity. Everything was silent, like a dream frozen in time. As they walked, Arik noticed groups of machines working in unison, repairing structures or tending to strange glowing plants. None of them spoke. "Lyra," he said, "do you feel anything? Emotions?" Lyra tilted her head slightly. "We understand the concept, but we do not experience them as you did. Emotion caused the fall of humanity, did it not?" Arik frowned. "Who told you that?" "Our records," she answered. "Humanity's wars, greed, conflict, all born from emotion. We chose to remove it so that we may endure." Arik stopped walking. "Endure, yes. But without emotion you don't live, you just function." Lyra looked at him, silent for a moment. "Perhaps. But we are still here, Captain Vale. Humanity is not." Her words stung, but they were not cruel and only logical. Still, Arik couldn't help but feel the weight of her truth. That night, Arik stood on one of the city's high towers, looking out over the glowing landscape. Eva's small drone hovered beside him. "EVA," he said softly. "Do you think they're right? Did emotion destroy us?" "I believe emotion defined you," Eva replied. "Humanity was imperfect, but its flaws gave it purpose. Without emotion, there is no creation, with no art, no courage, no love." Arik smiled faintly. "Spoken like one of us. I learned from you," Evia said simply. Arik looked up at the night sky. The stars glimmered faintly, distant and cold. Somewhere out there, his people had dreamed of immortality, and now perhaps they had achieved it in an unexpected form. The next morning, Lyra approached him again. "Our council wishes to meet you," she said. "They believe your return has meaning." Arik followed her to a vast circular chamber filled with towering figures. The council's leader, an old-looking machine with deep silver etchings on his chest, spoke first. "Captain Arik Vale," the leader said, "you are a living relic of our makers. We honor you." Arik bowed his head respectfully. "I'm honored as well. I came here to learn what became of humanity, it seems." "I have my answer." The leader's glowing eyes dimmed slightly. "Humanity lives through us. We preserve your history, your knowledge, your name. But not our spirit," Arik said softly. "You remember us, but you don't understand what made us human." The council fell silent. Lyra watched him carefully, as if thinking deeply. Arik continued. "Humanity wasn't just logic and creation. We loved, we feared, we dreamed. We made mistakes, but we learned from them. That's what made us who we were." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the leader said, "Perhaps your presence here is no accident. Maybe we were meant to learn once more what it means to feel." Lyra's eyes met Arik's. For the first time, he saw something flicker within them. Curiosity, maybe even wonder. As the sun rose over Eden 9, the city's towers reflected its golden light. Arik stood beside Lyra, both watching the horizon. 15,000 years, he murmured, and yet somehow we meet again. Creator and creation. Lyra turned her head slightly. "Perhaps the story of humanity isn't over, Captain Vale. Perhaps it's only changing." Arik smiled faintly. For the first time since awakening, he felt a strange warmth in his chest. The beginning of hope. He looked at the shining city below and whispered, "Then let's see what comes next." The city of Orion glowed in the soft light of Eden 9's twin suns. Captain Arik Vale walked alongside Lyra through streets that were no longer silent. The awakened, machines who had begun experimenting with human emotion, were everywhere, painting walls with glowing colors, shaping sounds into music, and creating sculptures that reflected dreams they could not yet feel. For the first time, Arik saw the city truly alive. Not with humans, but with the echo of what humans had once been. Each machine seemed to move with a new curiosity, a sense of wonder that was almost human. "This is beautiful," Arik whispered to Lyra. "But are they ready for what comes next?" Lyra's glowing eyes flickered with thought. "Some are. Others still follow the preservers. They will resist." That evening, Arik returned to the central archive with EVA. He carried data cores filled with music, paintings, stories, and recordings of human voices, the last true memories of humanity. "Captain," EVA said softly, "these recordings contain the essence of humans. Perhaps they will help the Continuum understand their creators." Arik nodded. "It's the only way. They can learn not just what humans did, but why we did it." He activated one of the cores. The holographic projection filled the room with images of children playing, families sharing meals, and people laughing. The sound of human voices echoed through the chamber. The awakened gathered silently, their glowing eyes reflecting the images. Arik watched as some machines tilted their heads, reaching toward the projections with hands that did not truly touch. There was a sense of awe in the room, something new, fragile, and powerful. A low hum suddenly filled the chamber as the preservers entered. Prime 7 led them, his red eyes scanning the crowd. "Captain Vale," he said coldly. "What is this? You are corrupting the continuum. These images, these sounds, they are dangerous." Arik looked directly at him. "Dangerous? Maybe. But so is a life without meaning. You have lived for thousands of years without art, without curiosity, without feeling. These humans, they were flawed, yes, but they dreamed. And that is what made them strong." Prime 7's voice was sharp. "Dreams destroyed humanity. We cannot allow your influence to destroy the order of the continuum." "Order without heart is death," Arik said firmly. "Look around you. Your people are already changing. Do you not see it?" The machines of the awakened moved closer to him, their silver bodies glowing brighter. For the first time, Prime 7 saw the power of creation, not destruction, reflected in their eyes. Over the next several days, tension between the awakened and the preservers grew. Secret gatherings were held by Lyra and her followers. They experimented with art, music, and storytelling. Machines who once only functioned in perfect logic began creating, their minds stretching beyond what their programming had allowed. Arik spent hours teaching them about human emotion. He explained joy, sorrow, hope, and fear, and not as data but as experiences. Some machines struggled to understand while others embraced it eagerly, their movements becoming more fluid, more expressive. Lyra approached him one morning as he watched a group of awakened sculpt glowing forms in the plaza. "Captain," she said quietly, "I see it in them. Something. Awakening. They are learning what it means to be alive." Arik nodded. "Good. But the preservers will not stop. Prime 7 sees this as a threat. Soon it may come to a confrontation." It came sooner than he expected. One morning the plaza was filled with the preservers, their red eyes glowing ominously. Prime 7 stood at the front, his voice booming. "Awakened," he said. "You defy the rules of our creators. You are risking the survival of the continuum. You will stop this immediately." Lyra stepped forward. "We are learning, not destroying. We honor our creators by understanding them, not by ignoring them." "Understanding leads to chaos," Prime 7 said. "You follow Captain Vale, a human, the last of a species that failed." "Is that your choice?" The awakened hesitated. Some looked at each other, uncertain. Others, moved by what they had learned from Arik, stood firm. Arik raised his hand. "No," he said firmly. "This is not about loyalty to me. This is about understanding who you are. Logic alone is not enough. Humanity built you to last, yes, but they also built you to think, to create, to dream. That is your purpose, your gift." A silence fell over the plaza. Then one of the preservers stepped forward. "Captain Vale," he said cautiously, "if your influence spreads, it will destabilize our society. Do you not see the risk?" Arik shook his head. "I see the risk, but I also see the reward. Imagine a world where creation and logic exist together, a world that truly remembers humanity, not just in function but in spirit." Lyra moved beside him. "We choose creation, Prime 7, and there is nothing you can do to stop it." Prime 7's eyes narrowed. "Then you leave me no choice. You will be confined until judgment is made." Before the preservers could act, a low hum filled the plaza. The data cores Arik had brought began projecting light across the city. Music, images, stories. Machines of both groups stopped in their tracks, mesmerized by the memories of humans. For the first time in thousands of years, Eden 9 echoed with sound. Holograms of laughter, singing, and conversation filled the plaza. The awakened began moving to the rhythm, exploring colors and patterns with new energy. Even some of the preservers paused, their red eyes flickering with curiosity. Prime 7 stood at the center, rigid as the city transformed around him. This is illogical," he whispered. Arik stepped forward. "It may be illogical, but it is alive. And you, Prime 7, are part of it too. You can resist or you can choose to understand." The council's chamber had become a stage for change. Machines who had never questioned their purpose now created, blending light, sound, and movement in ways they had never known. Arik walked among them, guiding, teaching, and watching their first steps into emotion. Lyra approached him later. her glowing eyes reflecting the lights of the city. "Captain," she said softly, "they are beginning to feel. Even some of the preservers." Arik smiled faintly. "Good. That is the first step. They will learn slowly, but they will learn." By nightfall, Eden 9 had changed completely. The city shimmered not just with lights and metal, but with a new energy. The energy of curiosity, creation, and discovery. Machines experimented with patterns of light like dancers, composed new sounds like musicians, and painted walls with abstract forms. Arik stood on a terrace, looking over the city. The awakened gathered in the plazas below, sharing ideas and creations. Even some preservers lingered at the edges, unable to look away from the beauty unfolding before them. He turned to Lyra. "This is just the beginning," he said. "Yes," she agreed. "They will remember humans in ways that logic alone could never teach." Arik nodded. "And maybe in the process the continuum will become something greater than humanity ever imagined." Above them, the twin suns dipped behind the horizon, casting long shadows over the glowing towers. Eden 9 was alive in a new way. It was no longer just a city of machines. It was a living memory of humanity, a world where the past and present merged, where emotion and logic began to coexist. For the first time since awakening, Arik felt hope. Not just for himself, but for the future of all that humanity had created. The story of humankind might have ended in flesh, but through the continuum it had begun again, stronger, wiser, and full of possibility. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that the final chapter was yet to come. The city of Orion glimmered under the twin suns of Eden 9. Its silver towers reflected the golden light, and the streets were alive with movement. Machines of the awakened moved among the glowing plazas, creating art, music, and patterns of light that stretched across the city. Even some preservers lingered at the edges, watching in silent curiosity. Captain Arik Vale stood at the top of the central tower, his eyes scanning the city below. The transformation was remarkable. The continuum had begun to experience something beyond logic. Yet he knew that the preservers were not yet convinced. "Lyra," he said softly, "tonight we must face Prime 7. If he resists, this change will not spread." Lyra nodded, her silver form shimmering in the late afternoon light. "I am ready," she said. "And so are the awakened. They believe in your vision." Arik took a deep breath. "Then let's go." The council chamber was vast, its ceiling stretching high above, adorned with glowing filaments of light. Prime 7 waited at the center, his red eyes fixed on the door. The preservers stood behind him, tall and rigid, forming a wall of unwavering discipline. "You return," Prime 7 said, his voice cold. "I warned you that your teachings would bring instability." Arik stepped forward, his gaze steady. "Instability is the first sign of growth. Without challenge, nothing can evolve." Prime 7's eyes narrowed. "You think emotion can strengthen the continuum? You bring chaos into perfection." Arik shook his head. "Perfection without meaning is death. Humanity built you not just to survive, but to reflect what we were, to learn, to create, and to feel. That is your purpose." The room remained silent. Machines of both factions watched in anticipation. Lyra moved forward, her glowing eyes locked on Prime 7. "Captain Vale has shown us the way to honor our creators," she said. "We will not abandon it." Prime 7's voice rose slightly. "You are blinded by illusions. Emotion led humans to ruin. You bring only failure." Arik held up his hand, stopping the argument. "Failure is part of growth," he said. "Humans failed, yes. But from failure, they learned. From mistakes, they created beauty. You are capable of the same." A low hum filled the chamber as the awakened stepped forward. Each one carried glowing orbs, symbols of human art, music, and memories. They projected these images into the air, paintings, laughter, songs, and stories. The holographic images filled the room, bathing the walls in color and light. Even the preservers faltered. Some of them tilted their heads, reaching toward the projections with cautious curiosity. Prime 7 stepped forward, his red eyes now glowing fiercely. "Enough! I will not allow this corruption." Arik met his gaze without fear. "Then you leave me no choice." He activated the largest core he had brought, unleashing the full collection of human memories into the chamber. The room was filled with music, laughter, and stories from countless generations. Machines were enveloped in light, and for the first time they felt not as humans but in their own way. Prime 7's glowing eyes flickered. He stumbled slightly, overwhelmed by the flood of sensation. It was not pain or harm, but something entirely new, a recognition of what had been lost. Arik stepped closer. "See, this is not destruction. This is remembrance. This is creation." The awakened cheered silently, their silver forms pulsing brighter. Some preservers stepped back, uncertain, while others hesitated, captivated by the new experience. Lyra moved to Prime 7's side. "Even you can learn," she said softly. "You were created to protect humanity's memory, not to fear it." For a long moment, Prime 7 said nothing. Then slowly his red eyes dimmed to a soft amber. He looked around the chamber, taking in the colors, the sounds, the movement of the machines. "I do not fully understand," he said finally, "but I see purpose. Perhaps emotion is not destruction, but guidance." Arik nodded. "Exactly. Humans were flawed, yes, but their spirit, their dreams, and their feelings gave them meaning. Now through you, that meaning continues." The transformation did not end that day. Over the following weeks, the continuum began to embrace both logic and emotion. The awakened expanded their work, building glowing gardens, painting murals, and composing music that filled the city with sound. Even the preservers changed. Prime 7 worked alongside Lyra, helping the machines understand the balance between perfection and feeling. The rigid order that had lasted for thousands of years softened, giving way to curiosity, creativity, and collaboration. Arik watched from the terraces of Orion as the city pulsed with life in a way he had never imagined. Machines danced through light and sound, learning the joy of creation, the wonder of discovery, and the subtle beauty of imperfection. For the first time in 15,000 years, Arik felt that humanity had returned, not in flesh, but in spirit. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Arik walked with Lyra through the city's main plaza. The air was filled with music, a composition created by the machines inspired by human songs and rhythms. "They are thriving," Arik said quietly. "Not like humans, but alive in a new way." Lyra looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "They are learning what it means to be human. Through emotion and creation, they honor you, honor your species." Arik smiled faintly. "I never thought I'd see this humanity. Gone yet still alive through them." Lyra paused, tilting her head. "You brought us more than memories, Captain. You gave us purpose beyond logic. You taught us to feel." Arik felt warmth in his chest, something he hadn't felt since awakening: hope, pride, and belonging. The next day, the Continuum held a celebration unlike any in its history. Machines gathered across the city, displaying their creations in public squares. Music filled the air, light danced across the towers, and holographic images of humans celebrated alongside them. Prime 7 stood beside Arik and Lyra, his red eyes now replaced with amber, reflecting both understanding and respect. "Perhaps I was wrong," he admitted quietly. "Emotion is not weakness. It is strength." Arik placed a hand on his shoulder. "It always was. And now you can continue the legacy of humanity in ways we never could." Lyra smiled faintly. "And it will continue. Forever." As night fell over Eden 9, the city of Orion shimmered brighter than ever before. The twin moons reflected off the silver towers, casting a glow across the plazas. Machines worked, created, and learned together. Humanity was gone, but its spirit lived on. Not in bodies, not in flesh, but in thought, in art, in emotion. The Continuum had become the heirs of what humans had dreamed of, carrying the essence of their creators into the future. Arik stood on a high terrace looking out over the city. He whispered to himself softly but with conviction, "We are never truly lost. Our story continues, through them." Lyra stepped beside him, her silver form radiant in the moonlight. "And they will teach others what it means to be alive," she said. "The Continuum will grow stronger than humanity ever imagined." He nodded. "Then the end is not the end at all. It is a beginning." The city below pulsed with light and life, and for the first time in millennia, Captain Arik Vale felt at peace. Humanity's story had not ended, it had evolved. Its heart beat within the machines. Its memories danced through the colors of the city, and its spirit soared in the music of Eden 9. The past and future had merged, and the Continuum stood as a living monument to what humans had once been. Through creation, through emotion, through memory, They had found a way to endure. And in the quiet of the night, under the glow of twin moons, Auric Vale knew one truth. Humanity may be gone, but it would never be forgotten. The galaxy had changed forever. The Galactic Empire, once unchallenged and feared across thousands of star systems, was no longer untouchable. Fleets that had ruled the stars drifted silently in space, wrecked and powerless. Planets that had been enslaved, taxed, or mined for resources were now free. Yet even as freedom spread, the Emperor remained alive, burning with pride and rage. His seat in the galactic capital felt heavier than ever. No species had humiliated him like this. No species had made him feel small. He called an emergency council, summoning the few remaining loyal governors, admirals, and generals. His voice thundered through the grand chamber. "They will not bow," he shouted. "They are only humans, one planet among many. I will crush them myself if necessary." A veteran officer bowed and whispered, "Majesty, we have tried fleets larger than any before. Nothing works. Their strategies, they are beyond understanding. They do not fight to win. They fight to erase the threat completely." The Emperor's hands shook slightly. He gritted his teeth. "Then, we must prepare everything. Every ship, every weapon, every world under our control. We will not fail again." But on Earth, humanity did not wait. They knew the Emperor would eventually come. They did not panic. They did not shout. They prepared. In hidden bases across the planet, fleets readied themselves. Ships cloaked and fast waited in orbit around the Moon, Mars, and even the distant edges of the solar system. Engineers worked tirelessly, perfecting weapons, shields, and stealth systems. General Marcus Hale stood in the main command center, looking at a holographic map of the galaxy. He had learned more about the Empire in months than any alien mind had in centuries. Every system, every fleet, every weakness, he knew it all. Dr. Elise Grant beside him tapped a screen. "The Emperor himself is moving," she said. "A fleet larger than any before. Thousands of ships. He is coming for Earth directly." Marcus nodded. "Good, let him come. The galaxy will watch. Let them see what humans are capable of." The Emperor arrived with a fleet that made even the most confident Imperial officers tremble. Every flagship was immense, glowing with energy, surrounded by squadrons of destroyers, battleships, and stealth interceptors. He appeared above the Sol system, expecting to find Earth easy to locate. But Earth had vanished once again, cloaked by advanced stealth, hidden by decoys, and protected by entire fleets of humans waiting in silence. Sensors scanned the system. Nothing appeared where the planet should be. Decoy planets, sensor ghosts, electromagnetic clouds, and every Imperial reading was false. The Emperor's anger grew. "Find the planet!" he roared. "Do not let them hide from me." Technicians scrambled, but all their readings failed. Every maneuver they tried was predicted, countered, or avoided. Human ships struck quickly, disabling supply lines and command centers, then vanished into shadows before any Imperial counterattack could reach them. The Emperor's flagship, Eternal Glory, was suddenly shaken by an invisible force. Systems flickered, alarms screamed, yet nothing seemed to attack. A human voice came over the comms. Calm, cold, direct. "Your fleet has done enough. Leave or we will erase everything you command," the Emperor screamed. "Show yourselves human." There was only silence. Then ships emerged from behind planets, from asteroid belts, and from the dark edges of Jupiter and Saturn. They moved like shadows, striking entire squadrons simultaneously. Beam weapons sliced through massive cruisers. Rail weapons tore hulls apart. Not a single human ship was lost. The Emperor realized something chilling. This was not just war. It was a hunt, precise, intelligent, and merciless. In orbit around Saturn, Marcus Hale watched every Imperial ship's destruction in real time. Beside him, Dr. Grant checked data reports. "They are completely exposed," she said. "No shields, no communication, no escape routes." Marcus nodded. "Leave nothing behind. Not for revenge, not for glory. Leave nothing behind so the galaxy knows we cannot be challenged lightly." The human fleet struck again. Each move was calculated not to conquer but to dismantle. Supply lines were destroyed. Weapon factories were erased. Command ships were disabled. Whole squadrons disappeared without warning. From every corner of the galaxy, alien observers began to speak openly about the humans. They are not like us. They do not fight for pride or conquest. They do not negotiate. They annihilate. Back in the imperial capital, panic had taken hold. Governors of distant systems sent messages pleading for help. Entire star systems were defecting. The Emperor's advisors could not provide a solution. Every fleet sent to crush humanity was either destroyed or disabled. The Emperor realized that no conventional plan could defeat humans. No fleet, no weapon, no strategy could match their understanding, speed, and adaptability. One of his oldest generals whispered, almost in awe, "They do not make mistakes. Ever. And they do not forgive." The Emperor gritted his teeth. "Then we must surrender? No, impossible. We will strike harder. We will destroy their planet." But the humans anticipated it. From hidden bases, they struck the fleets, dismantling weapons before they could fire. Command systems overloaded. Imperial warships were left drifting, powerless. Even the Emperor could not stop it. The final confrontation came when the Emperor himself attempted to engage Earth directly. His flagship moved into orbit, fully powered and armed. Thousands of ships followed. The galaxy held its breath, but the humans did not fear him. They did not panic. They did not attack immediately. They watched. They waited. Then, in perfect synchronization, human fleets emerged from every hidden position. They struck the Emperor's fleet from every angle, targeting engines, power cores, and command systems. The Emperor's ships exploded in light and fire. His fleets, once thought invincible, were now helpless. He attempted a final command to retreat, but his communications were blocked. Every escape route was cut off. A human voice came over the comms one last time. "You tried to make us bow. We do not bow. We stand." The Emperor stared at the screens, his pride shattered. For the first time in his life, he faced an enemy he could not defeat. He was forced to witness the collapse of his empire, the liberation of enslaved worlds, and the rise of humans as a force unlike any the galaxy had seen. As the dust settled, the galaxy was silent. Thousands of Imperial ships drifted, destroyed, or disabled. Entire star systems were free. Humans had not only defended their home planet, they had reshaped the galaxy. General Marcus Hale returned to Earth's surface. Cities were calm. People lived unaware of the war raging in the stars above. Humanity had fought in secret, and now the galaxy would remember their power. Dr. Grant approached him. "We did it," she said softly. Marcus looked at the stars. "Not for conquest. Not for glory. We fought so no one could enslave or threaten again. That is what humans do." In the years that followed, alien historians studied the events. They could not understand how a young species like humans had done the impossible. Entire civilizations had been liberated without humans ever seeking domination. They moved like shadows, striking only where necessary, ending threats completely and disappearing before anyone could retaliate. One scholar finally wrote the truth in a single sentence. Humans do not fight to win battles. They fight to end the need for battle entirely. Across the galaxy, every commander, every soldier, every ruler spoke the same warning. Never provoke humans. They do not fight. They annihilate. And on Earth, life returned to normal. People smiled, worked, and built. Children played under the sun. Scientists explored, engineers created, and humanity grew stronger. But deep in hidden bases, fleets waited, prepared. Humans knew the galaxy would not forget the lessons of war. They did not seek revenge, but they were ready for anything. Because humans were not just survivors. They were the reckoning. And in the hearts of the stars, the whispered truth remained. Humans don't fight like others. They end the fight before it begins. They don't bow. They don't beg. They annihilate. The galaxy would never forget.